Food is fuel for your body, your mind, and definitely your sport. But let's face it, nutrition is confusing, and the expectations on girls and women to be thin and have a six-pack are exhausting. If you've ever been frustrated with your body, confused about nutrition, obsessed with eating healthy, or guilty when you don't, underate, overate, or overtrained, and overwhelmed with all the pressure, then this podcast is for you. Nutrition can be easy. You can take control of it, but it might start with letting go of control by asking for help and making a change. I'm Lindsay Elizabeth Cortez, sports dietitian and owner of Rise Up Nutrition, where I empower female athletes to overcome nutrition concerns and perform at their highest level, to stop being confused by all the mixed or harmful messages, and finally have confidence in your body as a fierce, fit, and fueled female athlete. So the holiday season is officially here. And of course, we have lots to celebrate during the holidays, but I found that for a lot of my clients, the holidays can be a particularly challenging time with food specifically and exercise. There's a lot of anxiety around the holidays when it comes to eating, lots of anxiety around food. And it kind of starts with having candy for some people around Halloween time. Having candy around can just kind of be triggering. And then we have Thanksgiving, this kind of day that has centered around this meal, and a really big meal at that. We also have lots of decadent desserts around this time. And then leading up into December and into Christmas, more desserts, whether that be cookies, pies, cake. We have those specialty lattes at all of our favorite coffee shops, right? Whether it's pumpkin pie spice or mocha mint, peppermint, whatever it might be. We just have like lots of food all around, and drinks and wine and celebration. And this can be really triggering for a lot of people, just creating anxiety. And I think most of the anxiety is stemming from fears of what this will do to their body to be consuming these more decadent foods, maybe a fear of gaining weight or fear of losing progress in your training. And of course, this year, the holidays might look different. So where in the past, maybe some of you do experience some anxiety around food and your body and training around the holidays. This year, we're having a lot more anxiety with the pandemic. And some sources are saying that, rates of anxiety and depression are 3 times as high since the pandemic started, which is so crazy high and totally understandable. And I see it. And I feel it myself. And then we think about the holidays where, the holidays can be stressful already, whether it be meeting up with family or travel, money. And then I feel like this year, it's like we don't even know what that's going to look like. Maybe some of you are stressing about this already, or you have been, or maybe you can't be with your family. That adds another layer of stress. Maybe you can't travel. Maybe your family has been afflicted with COVID and is sick or is no longer with us. Maybe jobs are lost and there's not as much money. It's just, this is a stressful time. Gosh, I feel terrible talking about it, but we have to talk about it because you're not alone in feeling this stress. If this year looks different for you, you're not alone in that. And I don't know if this will be better or worse for you. If, let's say, your Thanksgiving does look different, maybe in the past you've been anxious about Thanksgiving because of all the food, and maybe now this year you're not doing a family get together. Is that maybe a good thing, that you don't have to deal with the big Thanksgiving dinner? You don't have to deal with the anxiety around that meal. Maybe you feel slightly relieved, but unfortunately, that temporary relief is not a true solution, because we don't want this pandemic to go on forever. We do want to be able to visit with our families and to celebrate once again. And avoiding food is never the answer. Avoiding holidays and celebrations, because whether it's Thanksgiving or it's a birthday or it's a retirement party or whatever it might be, there's always celebrations with food. always, that will never end. Besides the actual day of food, I even just know from that exercise side of things, there's always like these campaigns or just advertisements about like warning you of not gaining weight throughout the holiday season. I've heard so many times plans of like run a mile a day from Thanksgiving through Christmas, or a 5K a day from Thanksgiving through Christmas, going out on Thanksgiving Day itself. Turkey trots. I'm a proud turkey trotter, many, many years in my past and hopefully many years in my future. I enjoy going for a run on Thanksgiving morning. I think that's a fun thing to do and to celebrate. And again, I'm not sure if that's happening this year with the state of the country and the world, but it's something I enjoy. But it's different when it's something that you feel you need to do. It's different when you are forcing yourself to get extra steps in and extra miles and do an extra workout in preparation for that Thanksgiving day and in preparation for what you're going to eat. If you struggle to feel that you deserve food just based on your activity level, then a day like Thanksgiving could be a really challenging day for you, or any holiday for that matter. And I know for me, what my Thanksgiving story has been like in years past, it's been like, okay, wake up, have a really light pre-run, like just like a piece of toast or something really light, because I didn't want to eat my calories too early in the day when I knew I was going to be eating a lot later. So I would eat something really light because I, knew I had to get something in. Then I would go out for that turkey trot and I would race it and it would be fun. But at the end of every race, they have food, they have some recovery items. And I had so many years where it was like, no, because I'm saving room for later. I'm saving room for later. Okay, but then what happens later is I'm actually starving because my family always ate Thanksgiving lunch at just kind of a bizarre time, like, I don't know, like 3 p.m. or something. So here I had woken up early, I had run, and I kept trying to save room for later. Well, later took forever to get to later, and I'm starving by the time later came. And I ate a lot, and I indulged, and it felt good to indulge. I wanted to indulge, and I would eat the appetizers, and I would eat the full meal, and then I would eat the dessert. And I think since I at this time in my life, like maybe wasn't having many desserts often, I very much had this idea that like, this is my only chance. Like, this is my only chance to eat pecan pie. It comes around once a year. This is my only chance. And so I would grab the biggest slice of pecan pie because, I only got it once a year. It was this very like what I call a scarcity mindset, right? If it's something that I didn't get often, had this mindset of scarcity that when I had the opportunity to eat it, I would want to eat all of it. And I would have a slice then. And then maybe when the night winded down later on, I would have another slice. And then the next day and the next day, right? Because that's the thing about the holiday season is it is a season. Sometimes it's like you have leftovers and you have this food, and then the pumpkin pie at the grocery store is half price the day after Thanksgiving. And it's just like this constant presence. And that day after, or that night, that's where sometimes those feelings of guilt come in too. Like, why did I do that? Or I feel sick. Have you ever felt physically sick? Have you ever eaten so much that you felt physically sick? Or maybe it wasn't even so much, but it was just different foods that the next day it's sinking in. Like, what did I do? Why did I do that? And I just want to get rid of this. I just don't want to feel that way anymore. I want to go back to how I felt before. Right. And just whether that be making a plan or saying, yeah, I'm going to do run a 5K every day through Christmas, or I had the pie last night, so I'm not going to do it again, just living in that scarcity mindset of saying things that you can't have or things that you must do in order to have something. Yeah, it's a mess, isn't it? Just talking about it. Have you ever felt this way during the holidays? It's a mess. And again, I don't know what this year's holidays are going to be like, but I think the whole point of this is that as I'm talking, it's like, why is it about food? It's like, it's so consumed by food. If the holidays to you have your mind completely consumed by the thought of food with what you're going to eat or how much or what you're going to do to deserve what you plan to eat or the feelings you have the next day because of what you ate. It's like your whole mind is just consumed by food. And I wonder if you could imagine just for a moment that you had a holiday, let's go with Thanksgiving, that you had a holiday that it was actually about the holiday, that it wasn't about the food. Can you just imagine that for a moment, that you could actually just be present and be grateful and be thankful? Isn't that what Thanksgiving is about? Being thankful. Just imagine for a moment that you could be thankful for all of this food, and you could be thankful for all that your body is always doing for you, all that it did for you yesterday, all that it did for you today, and all that it's going to do for you tomorrow. What if you could just be grateful for that? What if you could be grateful that you get to have pecan pie once a year instead of being anxious about the fact that you only get to have it once a year? What if you could be grateful that you have it? What if you could even shift that scarcity mindset into a mindset of abundance, what I like to call it, an abundance mindset that even said, you know what, I actually could have pecan pie more than once a year if I wanted to. Actually have the ability to make it or buy it at the store. I actually could. I actually can. It's not that I can't have this. I can. What if you had a mindset of abundance? How would that make you feel on Thanksgiving Day if you knew that this wasn't your only day that you could ever eat your favorite dessert? How would that change this anxiety that you have about food? How would that change if you knew, if you could guarantee and imagine too that there'd be no consequences? Just imagine that there'd be no consequences, whatever those consequences that are running through your head right now of, oh, but I don't want to gain weight, but oh, that's not healthy for me. Just throw all that aside just for a moment. Let's play pretend. Just imagine for a moment that there were no consequences and that whatever your favorite holiday treat is, that you didn't only have to have it on one day or during this holiday season. Just imagine that you could have it anytime. Imagine you could have it in the spring. Imagine you could have it next Tuesday. Imagine you could have it in the summer. Imagine you can have it on the 4th of July. You can have it any day that you want. How is that shifting how anxious you're feeling right now about eating that dessert? You can have it any day. It shifts, doesn't it? When you have that mindset of abundance and you know that you are allowed to have this food, that anxiety just lessens just a little bit, just a little bit. And of course, those consequences that you're thinking about, just imagine that they didn't exist. Imagine that you could eat the food you want and not be afraid of weight gain. What would that be like for you? What would that be like for you to not fear gaining weight? If you didn't fear gaining weight, what would you do differently? What changes would you make to your food or to your exercise or how you treat your body? What changes would you make if you didn't fear gaining weight? What would you do if you didn't put this pressure on yourself that you have to do more physically just because it's the holiday? What if you removed that pressure, and what if you just did what you wanted to do? What would that be like for you? What would that look like if you did what you wanted to do? How much would you want to run just because it was fun? How many days a week would you want to go to the gym just because it was fun, not because you had to? What would that look like for you? Whatever that looks like, if you've been following along, if you've been saying, okay, if I was running just for fun, if I was going to the gym just for fun, yeah, I would probably be, just keeping my mileage at this, or I would go at least 3 days a week. Like that feels good to me. Like I want to do something, but it's, really exhausting to force myself up at 4:30 in the morning every day. Like, what would it look like for you if it was actually fun? And how would you eat if you didn't fear weight gain? And what would that actual holiday be like if your mind wasn't consumed with the thought of food all the time? And if you have that vision in your head right now, I want you to keep that vision. I want you to grasp onto it. And I want you to send me an email. When you finish listening to this podcast, I want you to send me an email and I want you to tell me your vision. because we can make that vision come true. We can make that dream a reality. It is not unrealistic. It is not just a dream. That can be your reality. And in fact, that's the best reality to live in. I am there right now. I am there personally. My clients are there. If they're a new client, they're going to be there anytime soon. I actually have this client coming to mind who started working with me, I think like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving last year, because it's been just about a year of working together. And in just 2 weeks' time, she was able to enjoy Thanksgiving more. And another month later, which was at that point, we had weeks of working together, Christmas was honestly a breeze for her. It was like, wow, so much less anxiety. And she was just able to be present with her family, which is what mattered. And now more than ever, amidst a pandemic, if you can be with your family, now more than ever, it is important to be present with them, to be engaged and not to be distracted and consumed by these negative thoughts about food and your body. We have had too much taken away from us this year. Living in a scarcity mindset is not going to make things better. We need to live in abundance. We need to enjoy all of this food, enjoy our time with family, and live in this moment and on this day of just knowing that it's all going to be okay and that you can be present with your family and you don't have to worry about this food. In fact, you can be grateful for it. You can be grateful to have it. And that's what this client of mine, again, Thanksgiving, after just working together for 2 weeks, that she was able to kind of shift her mindset to not be so anxious on Thanksgiving Day. And then just a few more weeks of working together, by Christmas time, she was really feeling confident. Not only was she not feeling anxious about food, but she was feeling confident in her choices that week. The day of Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and also the week after. There wasn't any sort of compensation afterwards, which is, another piece of the puzzle for so many people is in the aftermath of it all. It's like you might do okay on that day, but it's that, what happens in the week after. And we all know what happens January 1st with New Year's resolutions, right? That is everybody's, highest month for mileage. That's when everybody signs up for races and new goals. I know gym memberships, their memberships historically skyrocket during that month. Of course, this year it might be looking like online fitness program memberships that are skyrocketing in the month of January, but that always happens. Why? Because people are looking for, some sort of redemption, or they're trying to compensate. They're trying to correct their wrongdoings that they perceive they had throughout that holiday season. And again, imagine, just like my client, if you went into that holiday season with reduced anxiety, or even better, with confidence, and to finish that holiday season without any need or any desire to redeem yourself or compensate or create a new plan, without feeling like you did anything wrong at all. In fact, feeling like, wow, everything was awesome. That was an amazing holiday. Like, I'm so grateful that I just got to eat that food and be with family, and also continue to respect my body. And I know that I'm not far off of my goals. That is where you want to be come January 1st. That's where you want to be. So if you have that image in your mind of what you want your holidays to look like for you, there's no reason. Again, with COVID, we already have so much going on with mental health, and so much that we're all dealing with, so much stress and anxiety and depression that many of us are experiencing. Why would you let food add to this? Don't let food create more anxiety. Don't let food create more of a scarcity mindset. Don't let food make you feel worse about yourself. You already have so much to deal with and process during this time of year. Allow food to be something that helps you through it. And so when you have that image in your mind of what that looks like for you, of what it would look like if you could eat the food you want throughout the holiday season and not be scared of any consequences, what would it look like if you didn't have to compensate and you could respect your body throughout that? What would it feel like to be present with your family and friends and not have your mind consumed? Email that to me. Email that to me, lindsay.riseupnutrition@gmail.com, and we can make that dream become a reality right now, this year. There is no next year that we have to wait for. That's another part of this too. Everybody's always like, well, next year, Even just recently, I was talking to one of my clients and I asked her, because she got in contact with me. Oh gosh, it's just coming to me now. I was at home for Christmas. I think it was December 26th. I hopped on the phone with her because I was with my family and I was in the spare guest bedroom / office, sleeping on the futon. And I called up this girl who booked an appointment with me online. It was December 26th. And she had basically said that, she's had a New Year's resolution for so many years, probably the last 4 or 5 years, that I'm going to help myself with this whole nutrition thing. I'm going to figure it out. I'm finally going to, do it. And 4 or 5 years had passed and it hadn't. And New Year's was just that, after Christmas, her recognizing, I've said this every year in the past, I need to make this happen. And on December 26th, I started working with her. And that won't be her New Year's resolution this year because she has overcome her nutrition concerns. She can enjoy Thanksgiving. She can enjoy her Christmas with her family this year. She can enjoy being around food and feeling confident around it and knowing that she is in control. You have control around food. And that's just the thing. During the holidays, people feel like they don't have control, but you do. You do have control. You just have to find it. You have to figure out how to gain that control. And that's exactly what we can do together. Once you email me, lindsay.riseupnutrition@gmail.com, we can talk about how you can gain this control, how you can be in a mindset of abundance, and how you can be fully present, and how you can be grateful for food throughout the holiday season. And with that being said, I'll talk to you soon and enjoy your Thanksgiving.